Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Roberta Bobbie, and I'm so excited to have Mr. Omondi Ochuka with me today here again. You know, the topic for today is a bit personal, but we will try to generalize it so that we don't hurt each other's feelings again.
Yeah.
But Ochuka and I were going through conflict, and while we were resolving, I was like, wow, this would be such an amazing discussion to have. Maybe we can share the steps that we've taken within our own relationship and share and see maybe it could work, ama maybe it's not real, ama maybe even us we've not resolved yet. But this is for everybody, because I realized most times when people are having conflict in relationships, they tend to be either they fall back to how they attach to human beings within their relationships, which is maybe they'll tend to be very avoidant, or they'll end up being very, very anxious and unable to settle whatever is happening within them. But I've realized as long as you're zote ni escapism, hakuna yenye ni ina solve. So today I want us to talk about practical ways in which we can resolve conflict within relationships. So karibu sana Bwana Ochuka.
Thank you.
So my first question is going to be, how do you think conflict arises in relationships? What are the things you think that are causing people to kosana? And this is across all sorts of relationships. We're not just focusing on maybe friendships or romantic. I'm talking familial, even with your boss at work. What are some of the things that are causing us to have conflict within our relationships or with each other?
I usually tend to think conflict arise as
Ngojata, what is even conflict?
arise.
Maybe we can start there.
Conflict is an injury of perspective.
Are you a walking dictionary?
I am. Let me explain that. An injury of perspective means that as we walk through life, as we evolve and grow and make mistakes and live and celebrate and love and sex and fuck and make children, there is a way we see and view the world. There's a way we process information as experiences. I want to think of experiences as information and as angles through which we see the wider array of the world or life. So ideally, there is no single person you will ever have one unified perspective.
Really?
No.
Not even my identical twin who hangs out with me all the time, every day.
Never. Not even yourself.
True, because I do be changing my mind 5 minutes later.
And that's why you have voices in your head.
Yeah.
Everyone has voices in their head. Now, there are some days when those voices are more critical. They're in a meeting and they're rocking chairs and there is a lot of pain, there's a lot of shouting, and there's a lot of wounding. That's when people get anxious. That's when people start to doubt. That's when people get mean.
Yes.
Yeah. So even at the very atomic level of a singular person, you're always conflicted at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you are happy or when you're more optimally human, then those voices are quieter or more balanced, or they have reached an argument or an agreement, sorry. So that's why I was saying that conflict is an injury of perspective. I know people are expecting, people agree. Yeah. But I want to think about it in a very different way. The reason why I like that is because it opens up the conversation we are going to have. Perspective is about who you are. So who you are at the core, I'd make them 5 things. Is where you are born. Very specific. You're born in a family. You're born with a parent or a guardian, with other actors where there are siblings, there are pets, there are like this environmental setting. And then you are also having a history, which we call generational history. So that still goes back to
that
family.
Precedes you.
Yeah,
like
that
even
precedes you.
Do you think even generational trauma, like vitu za kitambo?
Yes. So there's the generational aspect of conflict that we inherit. that we do not know. Even our parents also do not know how it started, and they also just got themselves finding themselves. And usually the person who comes after the next is sort of, they are burdened by, at least even if you do not want to, but at some point you will face that generational conflict in some sense. There's usually also upbringing, and upbringing comes with three other things where it comes to parenting style. Parenting style is how generally a person gets to attach later on in life, because it tells how was love availed.
What was the initial
Yes.
template?
Yes. And how was conflict manifested and resolved or not so? That is the style, because ideally, life boils down to love and grief.
Yes.
You understand? And at some point, we will disappoint a parent. At some point, you will not do your homework. At some point, you will steal your mother's 10 bob and go buy sweetie. At some point, you'll be found with condoms in your pocket when you're a teenager, and you'll be having very tough questions. Yeah.
Yes.
At some point, you might get pregnant, and you're in high school.
Yeah.
So those conflicts become center points and entry points for conflict and how to resolve them. The other thing is acquisition or mimicry, because we end up meeting other people from nursery school. You fall in love with the boy. There's like a boy you like. There's like a girl, you always just want to buy them sweet. Or if you get packed lunch, you want to share with her.
Yes.
Yeah, so you meet these people and they start to absorb your history and you absorb theirs. You absorb their colors and they absorb yours.
We are all the people we've met.
Yes, yes. You are
You
accumulated.
cook your pasta a certain way
Right.
because it's an ex from
you listen
10
to
years
certain
ago.
music because
Yes.
and then there is what we call the remainder of a blind spots. Blind spots are things we do not know about ourselves, and therefore some other friend, some other experience in life will later on remind you that, do you know there's another side of you that always behaves when these things are in place? Like if this situation, if these circumstances are presented in your life, then you will behave a certain way. And you're like, no, that's not who I am. Because the idea of a human being is to defend themselves. The idea of a person is never usually humility. Humility is forced on a man, on a person, on a human being. So much that it's the ego, it's the ultimate ego thing. So the defense mode makes you unaware of the things you might be awful at, the things that might be prickly in other people's lives. But until you're honest enough or humble enough, you might not really know them, because you can't, you are blind spot, because you don't have compound eyes. You can only see a certain angle, whether it's 180 or 90, depending on how willing also you are to see. And that's why I was telling, again, perspectives. Yeah. So those are some of the ways in which we borrow or inherit conflict, or are active participants of conflict. Now, how that manifests, I meet you, we want to date, and you have a history I do not know of. I meet you at 26, for example. I am, let's say, 30. You have 30 years to learn or unlearn of me. I, the same, have 26 years to learn and unlearn of you. At the very core, we might have things that we share. We wanna treat each other right. We wanna be honest with each other. We wanna be compassionate. We want to be safe with each other, for each other. Those are universal. In fact,
Basic.
they are basic shared values that we all aspire to, even though maybe they might differ in some to small, tinier manifestations, but they are the basics. Now, the differentiation that happens is, how have you lived those your 26 years of life? What has influenced them? What kind of family do you come from? How did you express? How's love expressed to you? Was it? And then you find out that there's a deeper hole of, for example, if you were criticized more, then it means that, number one, when you are in conflict with your friend or your lover, then harsh tones are no for you. There are things that will lead you to a very deeper corner, and you do not want to face this person yet again. If gifting was something that was not a parent in the family or when you're growing up, then deeper in yourself, you will always be yearning to be gifted, or you will find yourself gifting more because maybe that is also what you lacked when you were coming up, and it was important to you, and it is a void that you keep on circling around trying to fill.
I like that you're bringing out extreme ends of the spectrum. You're telling us that this template that we have that informs the way we love and the way we attach is affecting us as we grow up. And it could go either way.
It could.
I could be either too giving or not giving at all.
Or slightly what we call the fence sitter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about the fence sitter. Isn't the fence sitter at equilibrium? Haven't they mastered a balance?
No.
Tell me about the fence sitter.
I don't know. Maybe our viewers would have a different opinion, but my feeling is the fence sitter is a coward. And the fence sitter is a dangerous person because they are not willing to make mistakes. I usually think equilibrium can be even...
You're calling me out.
I
Wall up. Pole pole kidogo. Pole pole kidogo.
Drink some water.
Leo nimeatakiwa the whole day. This blind spot, by the way, the whole month, it's just been my friends calling me out. Not even necessarily directly, but when the people around me are speaking and I'm like,
whoa, are you talking about me?
I do that.
Yeah.
So I've been harmful the whole time. Crazy. So let's now come back.
My theory is...
Let's Ebu first describe to me some of the characteristics that this person has before we go to now the extremes.
A fence sitter is diplomatic. We cannot take that away from them. They're diplomatic because conflict, they try to avoid it as much as possible.
Yeah.
I am that person.
So we're on the same... Okay, fine.
Diplomatic.
Yeah.
The reason why they are diplomatic, it means that conflict sits at the center of their core wounding. Every person in this world, whether you grew up in a healthy family or you grew up in a war zone, has a core wound.
Yes.
Because the moment your parent brought you into this world, that is the first wounding, because this world is vast.
Yes.
The experiences we will have until you die are vast, and you will not go unscathed. Never. So it's just a matter of degree and the temperatures that vary. So how that comes up is the diplomat tries to avoid conflict because conflict has wounded them so much in their lives, they would not want to go through it. And usually it is also a product of greater disappointments of childhood. When you saw your parents fight hell tooth and nail, they're killing each other, and you would be the buffer in between them. And you wondered, as a small child, a 3 or even 4, 5-year-old or 6-year-old, wondering how comes adults are so fucked up. And you ask that question every night. The following morning you go to school, your parents have been wounded, your mother has a swollen face, the other nigga has been teethed, and you're wondering, why can these people just be soft and gracious? And if you ask that question over and over, it becomes your core wounding, and it is a disappointment.
Yes.
So it is a disappointment in humanity, and you will always try to resolve it. In other words, throughout your life, it sort of informs your purpose in life. That if I want to grow up, you might not even tell it to yourself actively, but you will find that every now and then, in every situation, in relationships, at work, you will always be that person who wants to resolve things. Even things just keep on happening. And even these things keep on just finding you. Conflict. You're predisposed to them.
Yes.
Because remember, your experiences inform how you see the world.
Yes.
So you'll always be likely to see where there's a fracture.
It's almost as if you're looking for...
Yeah, you're looking for it.
Because you're the one who can spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the diplomat wants to avoid that. But there's also the numbness of how the human nature of conflict, because human beings are really fucked up. At the core, without the taming of our deeper human neurosis and psychosis and all that, we are very fucked up. And so at any given moment, somebody can wound you really badly.
Yes.
So the diplomat sometimes is I would say, is it a verse? Not really a verse. Is is naive to that fact of human life, how animalistic we can be. So they tend to be more benefit of doubt. They're givers of benefit of doubt because they look at the
To
higher
everybody.
good. Yeah, they look at the higher good, and that is their gift and their curse.
It's true. I agree. You're just describing me.
Yes.
So you had started by saying the bad attributes and then ukarudi kwa diplomat. Tuendelee na hizi attributes.
The good attributes.
Zote. Unaweza zimix.
So then the diplomat also has a tendency to the idealistic. Ideal sense of in a good world we should all be loving.
Yes.
Should all be kind, we should all be smiling and
But
joyous.
that's not realistic.
But that's not realistic.
Oh my God.
A diplomat also they have a very rich sense of imagination, because imagination is very key and central to conflict resolution. Here's why. When two people or two parties are in conflict, or are not seeing the same thing, or are not even committed to seeing or producing the same vision, the same mutually benefiting vision, then there is a lack of imagination. In other words, they can't imagine a possibility where Roberta and Ochuka will be agreeing and they can sit down and talk. And there would be something beautiful out of it. Even if one person has to lose an inch of an anger or a pride, but the other person has to gain a little also. So imagination is at the center of it. And they tend to be artsy. They tend to be thinkers. They tend to be feelers and empaths. Yeah, because so all of sort of like they love fantasizing, because fantasy,
they live in delusion.
Yes, in delusion. And delusion, later on, you will find that even people who are numb, people who are recklessly cruel and harsh, are also delusional. In other words, they think that if I was cruel enough, the way my parents were cruel with each other, then I will avoid all these conflicts. I'll be the badass. I'll be the person people fear.
But that's so fucked up. You think that's as fucked up as the fence sitter?
Yes. And that's why I was telling you that fence sitting is not good.
Yes.
And the reason why I was saying equilibrium is not 50-50. Equilibrium can sometimes be 70-30. And it's something we do not know. Let me go back to a conversation that happens a lot in the last decade or two, where we are talking about domestic chores and the husband and man and wife and boyfriend and girlfriend splitting a bill or sharing chores. Yes. The idea of a 70-30 does not fit in an ideal sense of an equilibrium, because we all along we have always been taught that 50-50 is it.
Yes.
But sometimes 70-30 can also mean that the person holding the 30, he has other silent responsibilities and other weights that they carry and bear within that particular relationship that they perform, that if they stop performing, then conflict arises.
Yes.
You understand? Let me give an example. You are my wife. You're working. I don't work. I've given a very atypical sense, because that is also one of the things that brings a lot of conflict, when the woman is the one who's working and the man is not working. Ideally, the man is the one who's supposed to be providing. But here comes a situation where that sense of equilibrium has been inverted. In other words, the ideal sense of it is not the one we expect. So you go to work, let's say you leave at 8, you come back at 5:30 or 6. Let's say maybe I do a small job at home, or maybe I have a shop. So most likely I'll be more with the kids. Most likely will also be more of a supervisory role or oversight role for our help. Most likely I will be more in touch with domestic economy. How much money do we spend?
What's
What's missing? But you see, if I think that I am a man and those are not manly things to do, then our first conflict has already been created.
Yeah.
You understand? Remember, I am not paying rent. I'm maybe not paying the insurance. You are the one who's paying because you have more money. Yeah? It means that in the sense of things, you're probably lifting a 60-40. I'm the one lifting a 40. But there's a silent
things you're doing, like even the emotional labor, the things that are not tangible that we can't really truly account for. But because I'm coming with the money, I'll say, hey, Mi natoa 300,000 every month
So
kwa hii
that's on
nyumba.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have other silent responsibilities in the 60 that you're holding. That if you stop doing them, I'll actually notice. And then I'll start feeling like you're not doing your job. And we'll start fighting as a couple.
Yes.
That is why I always say that equilibrium does move a lot depending on the weather patterns of our mindsets and also the dailiness of our domesticity, whether it's at home or it's not a relationship or it's a workspace. Because no particular day in life is the same.
Very true.
They might share certain patterns, but it is never the same. So that means that we have to be very attuned to how these changes, very subtle ones, affect our life and how do we respond to them. Because response is the first goodwill towards wanting to solve a problem or a conflict.
It's like relationships then are a full-time job. It's like you're running a company.
They are.
You need to know all the nook and crannies, everything that is happening. It's like you're a manager. That's amazing.
And I have a theory that the crisis we are having in relationships nowadays is, one, we have demystified the idea of work. Work used to be something that tended to feed the cogwheel of industry. So back like in Europe, in America, in the 1800s or 1700s, going to the early 1900s, a man would leave in the morning, they'll go to the coal plant, they go to the forest reserves, they go to train stations, and they would come back later on after 5. So we created a 9 to 5. But because that is no longer how work is, in fact, work has been so mocked up that you would rather not work, you would rather steal.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, it's even easier to steal because the dignity of work is no longer there for us.
Yeah, you're working for, it's almost as if you're working for nothing.
Yeah, now let us reflect that back on relationships because like you have just mentioned rightfully, relationships are work, healthier ones, and they're uncomfortable work. So if we have already gone through a crisis of work, we don't see work as useful. We don't see the labor of repair because work is repair. So you go to the farm and your hands callous and you sweat and you tread and you wonder, I'm going to earn 30,000, I'm going to earn 500, I'm going to earn 250 bob kwa place now unauza maji. You're wondering how dehumanizing can that be? Then most of us get to a point of collective despair where you don't see the point of working anymore. And if you've gotten that point, most likely it will also reflect in your relationships.
Yes.
Because you don't see the point of sustaining it.
Yes.
Work is what sustains a human being. Unlike animals, animals can kill.
Still work in their own way.
They still work in their own way anyway, in that ecosystem.
Yes.
But as a living thing, you always have to work to maintain the system of life. So much if you don't, then you'll either create a problem of, I want to rob you, I want to steal from you, I want to lie to you so that I can have a softer landing. You see? So that has reflected in relationships or in friendships where we don't see the point of, why should I work? Why should I call you? I will only call you when I need help. I not call you when I want to fuck. I will only call you when we are going for a vacation, when there is a softer landing in vacation in Naivasha or Nyali.
Wezi nikasirikia tukikuwa Bali.
Tukiwa sherehe.
Yeah.
You understand? But the work of tidying up, the work of even creating resources towards that joy, we don't want that. In fact, we don't usually see that point. Again, perspective. Yeah.
Before we move on to the extremes, are there any bad qualities of this fence-sitter? Because how is it manifesting in relationships? You've told me kind of how they are, but how is it manifesting then in relationships in real time? Because I want to be ideal. I want to be very diplomatic. I want to make sure I'm not causing conflict anywhere and I'm solving everything so we can move on. But how is this showing up then in times of conflict? And how is this hindering me? Because you've said it's just as bad. How is it hindering me from showing up the way I should in my relationships?
You remember during my book launch, I said that if you are not brave enough to confront how awful you can be as a person, then you're not lovable. In fact, you're not as loving as you claim to be.
I would break that down
now,
layman's.
Yeah. Let me break that down a bit. at the center of loving means that you can also just as much hurt, disappoint, or wound.
It's a spectrum of all
Yeah.
emotions.
Yes.
But as human beings, we're just focusing
Yes.
on
Yes.
love, good,
Mm.
being right, doing the right thing. Okay.
I know most of us drive cars and love cars. So if you're traveling and you're looking at the speedometer, it's always changing. If you want to take over, it sweeps. So there's a sweeping in the clock. Even the clock itself is one of the biggest metaphors of like how our weather patterns change within ourselves and within relationships that we have built. So I think that is the same thing with conflicts. And that is one of the biggest setbacks of a fence sitter, because sometimes they are afraid of being clumsy. But loving is the most clumsy thing you can ever do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen somebody in love?
Stupid, dumb,
Yes.
crazy, embarrassing.
Yes.
But
And
that's what love is.
yeah, and then we're living in a society that wants to criticize that as useless.
We want
That
to
you have
make
to
it
be
look
clever.
perfect.
Yeah, you have to be very clever. And from, okay, I don't know about you, my viewers, I don't know about you, Bobbie, but from my experience, every time I have ever tried to be clever,
it fails.
It fails me. I can't
It
laugh.
does, yeah.
I can't laugh.
Hakuna logic kwa mapenzi.
You understand?
You're not supposed to be thinking too much.
Well and good. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, how do you determine how not to be a doormat? You understand?
Yes. Because when people are seeing you be having this idealistic perspective towards life, they want to take advantage and manipulate you, because Ochuka won't react. Ochuka will forgive. Ochuka will fix the situation.
Yes.
So how do you handle that?
So a fence sitter tries to avoid that by remaining on the fence and looking this other way. And that's why sometimes, have you ever seen, it's very common with women, where women say, I'd rather a bad boy or a narco guy. The narcotic guy who's just sells drug. Because those people are as real as they come. When they're nasty, they're really nasty. But I've also seen OGs in mtaani, they're also really loving. Because that's also one of the, that's one of the reasons why they're charismatic and they're loving. In fact, rarely do they ever just enjoy their money. OGs in the street, mtaani, they really love. They might have a chain of horse, but all these people usually get a bit of love. So sometimes the reason why women say that is because you know what you are dealing with.
It's predictable, it's safe.
Yes. And human beings are patternistic. We always look for a pattern because that tells us certainty. It affirms, sort of like it soothes our certainties. And you see, life is uncertain.
Yes.
So it means that if your greatest focus is certainty, then you're not living it correctly.
Yes.
Because things will change. Yeah. Things will change. Or you're a bit dishonest about how unpredictable life can get. That you can disappoint yourself. So if you yourself can disappoint yourself, why would you expect Ochuka not to disappoint you?
Yeah.
You understand?
Do you think we're trying to be, it's a way we're trying to control, to be controlling? We're trying to control the outcome of these relationships, because we have this script in our head that this is how it's supposed to go, and if it doesn't go this way, it's failed.
Now, I told you about blind spots. Remember how somebody has ever told you, you're always very controlling?
Yes.
I remember one lover has ever told me that I'm controlling, and I was
shocked,
so hell-bent that is not me.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at it, let me break it down. I'm a diplomat. I don't like conflict at all. I like the higher good of a person. It means that when I see somebody straying, I wanna correct them. I wanna encourage them. The savior complex also. Yes. I wanna encourage them to see the good in them. But you see, until somebody is ready, until somebody has resolved within them, you cannot cause that. You can only simply inspire a spark in them and say, hey, by the way, I've been an awful person to this person. But if I continue and persist in my wanting to change them, then I become controlling, despite my good intentions.
Yes.
You understand? So
even if it's coming from love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you see, that's me. And if I were a fence sitter, I would still maintain that I'm a good person.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a good guy. I want things to be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest, it means that I can be able to move to my darker archetype, the darker side, and I'll see, hey, by then, no. Wait a minute. this comes from a good place, but I cannot rush this person. The best I can do is tell them that this and this, from my experience, usually leads to a difficult outcome or a difficult thing to
Opinion.
deal with. Yeah. And I would advise them that I see it this way. Do you see it like that? Or do you think that it affects you in the way that we relate? Beyond that, there's nothing you can ever do to a person.
True.
You understand?
True.
So if I proceed beyond that point of capacity, then I'm beginning to be controlling.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go to the extremes. I want to start with the people who attach anxiously. People who are, when they were growing up, in their childhood, they were maybe walinyimwa space yenye wanaweza kuwa emotional. So of course hakuna conflict resolution yenye inaendelea, where you're abandoned and now you're consistently anxious, you're consistently hoping. And I think this kind of creates the fence sitters also, because now you're consistently scared about causing conflict, because ataniacha, atacha kuniongelesha, mbona niongeleshi, mbona haja reply message yangu, mbona, and it's because you got neglected so many times. So you see these patterns and you zina register kwa akili yako that when something happens, when the temperature changes too slightly, even speedometer tweaky shift.
Signal.
We have different days, different phases even throughout the day. But the moment things are just, his tone has changed.
Yeah.
He's not picked my call. Roberta is not talking to me. You're already, your heart is beating. You're so afraid. You're so anxious. So tell me a little bit about that extreme.
So anxious people or anxious lovers or friends tend to struggle with two things. Number one is catastrophizing things or experiences.
Yeah, because I'm going to think the worst has happened. You're not picking my call.
Yes.
You should be dead
You're
somewhere.
probably dead somewhere or in the hospital
Yes.
or in the morgue already.
Bana, because what is it?
Yeah.
Where are
Why
you?
can't you pick my calls?
And it's just been an hour, 3 hours.
Or a minute.
Even a minute.
Yeah.
By the way, guys are checking.
Blue ticks in the next second.
You go on Facebook, you see, I'm a post story 10 minutes ago. I'm a post WhatsApp 10 minutes ago. Lakini a reply message yangu, you start going crazy.
So that's number one. Number two is they have impaired capacity to deal with excesses. Human excesses. Human excesses can be neglect, because we can neglect depending on context.
Yes.
Let's say you text me a message at 8 a.m. I am going to catch my mat going to town. I see it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to reply. Because sometimes things do happen. To you register that I have already blue ticked you.
Yes.
Understand? And it's going back to the core wounding that I was telling you. Neglect. Every time you try to raise, mommy unibai hata nguo ya Christmas. Vile sahi ni Christmas. I take you to school. There's a roof on top of your head. The way our mothers used to blah, 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 blah.
When I was your age.
Yeah. So you learned not to self-advocate. And you see, love is self-advocacy. You understand? The reason why it's self-advocacy, it means you have to really tend to your garden before you can share that garden with another person.
Yes.
So almost always, no matter how loving you are as a person, if you neglect yourself,
you're not loving.
You're not loving. And at some point, itakuja ikubite in your ass.
Always.
At some point.
Always, yes.
Because self-abandonment is just as bad as another person abandoning you, And that's a very difficult reality or reality check to accept, So when you are not catastrophizing, you are doing the excesses of offering yourself too much. This, all patterns, and because you're patternistic, all patterns and past behavior and change of communication has sort of told you that this guy does not like you. This chick anakulenga.
Yes.
But because you have a greater good or a benefit of a doubt, you're always giving and giving and giving.
People pleasing.
Yes. So remember, human beings can never be pleased. The moment you keep on pleasing, it's just like, grief. In the event that grief object or the grief itself is no longer there, another thing will assume its place. That's the nature of life. That's also the nature of pleasure. You eat today, you eat in the morning, not even before noon, 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. you're hungry. Because that's how insatiable our desires are and our cravings. And because love and cravings and yearnings are almost the same thing. It's a yearning. It's a yearning.
hunger.
It's a hunger to attain something, a being. And because this being is so transient, you think of it as a fixed position, and that's the first mistake. So anxious people always want to control things to a fixed position because it offers them certainty and safety.
Predictability.
Yes, because predictability is safety. You know, we're always talking in the morning, and you're always telling me a good morning. So if you don't tell me a good morning in the morning, makosa.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
You understand? We always go for brunch on Sunday. So why are you offline?
Yes.
Yeah. You always talk to me softly. Muni baby girl. Why are you raising your voice today?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You always let me win. You always say yes. Why are you saying no today? You understand? And the thing is, we only use these things because they are words that we have. And you might find that even people who are avoidant, they are also anxious.
They're
Have you ever
just,
thought about
they're
it
just
like
speaking
that?
in their language.
Yes.
I'm having deja vu right now. Have we had this conversation before?
Because it's real.
It feels so like we've said the same things and you are wearing the same clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why even avoidants can also be anxious people is because anxiety is dealing with these simulations in your head, and you want to control all of them now, right now. Sai, see kesho, see the next minute. I want to control them right now. And that produces the effect that psychologists usually say: flight, fight, numb, and fawn.
Freeze.
Yeah, they usually the four. So if you fight, you're gonna be confrontational. So you find people who are anxious tend to be very verbally abusive. Like they can easily lose it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even action-wise,
yes, even
like they can do anything.
Yes. They can fawn, sort of like they hoard so much of their emotions in the bigger sense of wanting to control the conflict, or like easy down. But if you accumulate that, it becomes what? Resentment.
Yes.
You understand? If you flee, then you have become an avoidant. Yeah. And so it's usually a matter of knowing that while these things can still manifest in you as a healthier person or just a normal person, they are ready resources for us, because not all conflicts need to be confronted. Sometimes a distance is needed.
Yes.
I was telling you that mirrors are very vulgar. If you're very close to a mirror, you will see the pores and the pimple and the period pimple and all these nasty things that you don't like about yourself. But if you step close,
Unakaa poa.
That's the same thing sometimes with conflict. When you're too close, you lose perspective. When you stand behind kidogo, you disarm that conflict. It stops being vulgar to you.
But how does an anxious person do that? Because I've been anxious before in conflict, in the way I attach. So the thoughts, everything you're describing is very accurate. The thoughts that are going in my head is, I'm going to burn this down. Like I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to. But then how do I come down from that? Because I feel like you're giving me advice you would give a secure person. Expecting me, who is thinking, this person has not texted me, they must be dead. You know, their mind is running at like a million kilometers per hour. You're just, where are they? What is happening? What is it my fault? Did I do something wrong? Is it So how do I come down from that? How do I self-regulate to the point where I'm able to, okay, stam tukana nimejam, but stam dunga na kisu na stam tukana, because most crimes of passion also are emanating from people attaching very anxiously in relationships. So how do I come down? Inaka very utopian. Inaka nika unaniexplainia vitu.
True.
Vitu watu wanoma ufanya.
I get you.
All right, people of the internet, I hope that you're enjoying this episode very much. And I just had a break to tell you about my new book. You know, everybody says that there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world, and there is no one to do them except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so, because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. There are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So, what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things. Build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash. You know that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odworjigero.co.ke.
I get you. Number one, you have to know that let's start with something that is relatable. I'm very sure you've heard that overthinkers need over-explainers. You've seen that meme?
Yes.
I have a problem with that meme.
Why?
One, because it externalizes the work you should be doing.
True.
So that in itself is not a bad thing, because at some point we will need somebody.
Sometimes I need it.
Yeah, so you need it as an anxious person. You need it. But I am also implying or encouraging you to build a muscle that allows you to know for certain that regulatory framework, emotional framework is your responsibility.
Yes.
It is not mine.
Yes.
In fact, sometimes even if I'm an over-explainer and I'm as graceful as I ever can be, it might not reach you.
Enough.
Enough.
Because I can keep shifting the goalposts. Now
Most
you're
anxious
sending
people
me.
do.
Yes. Now you say, okay, I'll send you the good morning text.
Yes.
Then you send them. I'll find something else.
Yes. So that's why I was telling you the number one fundamental thing is to know that regulation is your work.
I love that.
You understand?
Yes.
Be really honest about it. And it might also allow you that when you spiral, you don't always pass it on your lover or your friend and say that, I'm not always being understood, because that is always the first thing many anxious people do. Yes. I'm always never understood.
Yes.
Do you understand yourself?
No.
Understand? So you have
perpetual victim.
Yes, you're always the perpetual victim. And you're not saying, hey, by the
am I the problem?
Yeah.
Am I the drama?
Yes. And then there's the other attribute of being aware and not doing anything about it. So that's the next step. You have to be able to use the resources that you have, including being very deliberate with the kind of friends you keep and the kind of people you fall in love with, or you want to be in a friendship or a relationship with, because then that will not contribute to further catastrophizing. It will ground you. I mean, that's why we say we need to be more kind.
Yes.
Because if we are more kind, then we'll have a pool that, yes, we will be clumsy at some point. We will disappoint each other. We will want to pick knives for each other. But we say, nah, all of us, I think, have the capacity to pick knives for each other.
Yeah.
It's
even
just that,
secure people.
Yeah, even secure people. What stops you?
Yeah.
Humanity.
Regulation, yes.
Yeah. You have to regulate yourself to say, no. I'm going to take a walk.
By the way, I like that you bring that up because it's not like secure people don't have these
No.
crazy thoughts
Yeah.
and they don't get angry
Yes.
and they don't want to react.
Now you see why I didn't like fence sitters, because fence sitters will tell you
Yes.
they don't think about that. Now that's not somebody that would want to love or date or fuck,
Yeah.
because you're not honest with yourself. There is utanikosea vibaya tena sana.
Yes.
And it will be nasty.
Yeah.
It's just the idea of self-regulating and recoiling back and saying, then that goes to the third thing that an anxious person needs to develop. The idea of self-reflection, which I think you do have. Many people who have very little self-reflection or introspection are not good lovers. Do you know why? Because introspection touches on fantasy. And then fantasy touches on imagination.
Please repeat that sentence.
Many people who are not good lovers are not self-introspective.
Okay, yeah. Because they can never be wrong.
Yes.
It can never be their fault.
They're very
they can't
structural.
be the ones who are bringing the issues.
Yes.
Because them, they're in their head, they're thinking they're doing things right, they're correct. So actually they get confused when you're bringing conflict.
Like why are you bringing that? This is the way life is. This is my way or the highway. So because they're structural, they tend to think the structure can maintain the absurdity of relationships. It cannot. Structures cannot. Because if you were to say, we are going to text each other in the morning at 8 a.m. exactly, that's a structure. But is it realistic? No. So
maybe honeymoon phase too.
Yeah,
and then real life starts now. Like you have to go to work, you have to, Yeah.
So then that goes to the fourth thing, communication. And you see, many people usually say communication is at the center. It comes later.
The first one, yeah.
It comes later.
Because you can't communicate if you haven't self-actualized.
Yes. You can't communicate what you have not imagined.
Yes.
There's an article I was writing where my grandmother was telling me, don't stop imagining, because the day that you do is the day that you die. Now, this is somebody who has Alzheimer's, who I was thinking, you call me all manners of people. You call me your husband. Sometimes I am me. Sometimes I am your brother. Who am I exactly to you? She told me, because I'm imagining you. And if I can imagine you, I can make you real. You're real to me.
You, yes.
Yeah. So if the reason, actually, how we are loved is we are imagined. I'm imagining that Roberta will not like if I did this shady thing to her. Consideration. Now that's language.
And that's what love is.
Yeah, that's what love is. So
bingo.
When you say
this
communication,
should be a book. This discussion.
Polly. So when you say communication, you are running towards the farther end, and you're missing the muscle and the culture and the structures and the errors that we do, because we are very erroneous in loving. Communication then again tend to mimic every other thing we have shared.
That template.
Yeah, because even I, who is articulate and thoughtful, might sometimes be very harsh with my words.
Yes.
My tone might change.
Yes.
So then what happens with that? It is the introspection back again. You see, you realize how these things feed on each other. It is me going back. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes, oh my God, the way you're explaining it makes it look so easy. Let's go to the, it's not.
It's not easy.
Let's go to the other extreme now.
Yeah.
The avoidance. These are the people I have beef with. And I think everyone hates avoidance. But anxious people are just as unbearable as avoidant people. So let's talk about the avoidance. How would you describe them? And I know this avoidance stems from abandonment, where as a child, when you're growing up, you're airing your feelings, your opinions, but they keep getting usifanye hivyo, boys don't cry, wanaume waliangi, we ni msichana, wacha kupanguza hizo machozi, wacha kunini. So you start teaching yourself, you start realizing that every time you express your emotions, they're abandoned. Unaambiwa wachane nazo, wacha kuactive. So now how you self-regulate is you teach yourself, I need to shut up. I need to hide. I need to be small so that people are not
annoyed
noticing that I have conflict or that things are happening. So it's just easier for them to shut up and move away. And I guess the reason we get mad at them a lot is because, first of all, most of us think we're pros at communication, especially if maybe even it's what you've studied, you think, but may I communicate my emotions, so I can't understand why this person, every time we have something to talk about, they just But I like that you mentioned also the avoidant is also anxious. They're just speaking a different language. It's just manifesting in a different way.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about.
So avoidance are products of a miscarriage of regulation. What I mean by miscarriage, for you to regulate something, either before it has happened or when it is happening, you have to know that something has the capability of spectruming. That's not a real word. I've just created it.
Yeah. And I like that you said that statement because for a long time, I've been moving to art very binary. Very, if you don't call me, you don't like me. If you don't talk to me, you don't care about me. I'm very 1-0, like on off, no fence. But now that I'm teaching myself about nuances and all these emotions existing within a spectrum, I'm understanding, okay, someone can love you and then they also don't text you good morning, but they can also call you tomorrow, and you should be able to regulate your emotions this whole time. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So avoidance, because of one cornerstone of love or loving is safety.
Yes.
The idea of safeness, the idea that I can, or not actually, safety is a big word because we've also therapy talked it so much out of life. Let me go back to playfulness.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So avoidance are products of playfulness that was miscarried. Understand? Now, earlier on, I mentioned that our guardians and our parents and our older siblings, they were never human to us. They were mostly gods, teen gods.
Yes.
And they were on a pedestal so much that we hardly ever knew these people. We never knew if they cried. Okay, if they cried, maybe we caught that on camera, on our own eyes as cameras, or very rare occasions during funerals. We never had how they dated and got together.
They don't show us emotion.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah.
affectionate.
They're not real human beings.
They're like robots. They don't cry. They don't commit. They just scream, fight, or avoid.
Yes. So how would you then know loving if that was the template that you were populated in? You know. So the reason why I'm saying it's sort of like a miscarriage of regulation is, since safety and playfulness go together, every time, because a child is always very playful. Understand? In fact, that is
when they feel safe.
Yeah, when most people, especially Buddhists, when they want to attain a higher sense of loving, there's usually a higher humor of being. Like you're just always laughing about life. Oh, it's hurtful. Oh, okay. Because you're even delusional. People looking at you is delusional.
Yeah.
Or when you look at it, when you're mushy and lovey-dovey and soft and well taken care of, and you're hydrating and you're having good sex, what is the result? It's the same thing.
Yes.
There's a higher goodness and playfulness. You understand? And the reason why sometimes that rigidity of avoiding creates a shield, an ironclad. So one is, when you're loving such a person, you will always be loving first the iron.
What does that mean?
The walls that they have created
to
protect themselves from a lack of safety. Because they believe that once I cross this boundary, this wall that I've created to sustain myself, I will meet the lack of empathy that I received when I was young. Understand?
So any emotion, anything that is coming, trying to surpass this wall, no matter how good it is, I'd rather just not have it.
Not have it.
I don't know. It's not predictable. Yes. Also, I don't know how I'm coming out the other end.
Yeah.
It might end up the way I grew up, the way I had been treated all my life.
Yes. The other thing is consistency of human nature. That to this moment, this minute, you can laugh with your mother, and by 6 p.m. you would be beaten to pulp. That's not even all day. Yes. So you do not know that somebody can love you so much. All your life you've tried to be reconciling those two very extreme ends. Somebody can love you so much and inflict so much pain on you.
You start to think that's love.
Yes.
Like that's what love is.
Yes. But then the bigger picture is you're always guessing. An avoidant is always guessing. No. So the best thing to do, because all of us value certainty, all of us value safety and breath work, we keep a distance. And that's why even at the point where an avoidant gets something that they have wanted all their lives, they will
They can't
sabotage
see
it.
it.
They will
They
sabotage
can't
it.
see it.
Yes.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is.
Because while this wall is leaving out the harmful stuff, it's also leaving out the beautiful
the
stuff.
love, yeah.
So all these people are almost the same person.
They're the same person.
They're just overthinkers.
Yes.
Who are all anxious, scared, afraid.
And the bigger disappointment that I'm going to give you is all of us are that person. There's no
I'm this predominantly.
no,
I'm
there's no stability. There's just moments of stability.
yes.
Those are our pockets of joy. So you might find somebody who has more pockets of joy and stability, but set them up with a certain particular sets of circumstances, they will produce an anxious person or an avoidant person. Yeah. And that's why we have to be really careful with therapy talk, because therapy talk seems to have categories of people. So much that if you're this person, then you can never be that person. You can't actually can.
You can
That's
be
my
all
theory.
those people.
Yes, that's my theory. Under the right circumstances that upsets your equilibrium, you can be either these people.
True. Because even if you're a very secure person and you get into a relationship with an avoidant, you find yourself becoming anxious.
Yes.
Then
That's
when
a very brilliant example.
Yeah, and then when they start coming back, now you're the one who's avoiding.
Yes. And remember, you've always thought yourself as a secure person.
Yes.
And you see, when somebody is toxic, they will rub on you. I'm telling you.
Immediately.
Yeah. Especially if you stay there longer. And because most people, avoidance and anxious people, they also have, they share one thing in common. They usually want like
perfection.
Perfection. Perfection means I see the good in you. I want it.
This is so fucked up because when Advice Mundalo was calling me out last week and he was describing me in these ways that you're talking about. Like, he was saying sometimes people might put me on a pedestal because they think I'm supposed to be this person. This is general advice, not just to me. They see you as this person. And then once now they get to talk to you and they realize, hi, you're a human being. You're not just maybe, let's say, for example, like a pretty face. You're not just a gorgeous woman. They meet you and then they relate with you and they hi, you have emotions. You have needs. Kumbe even you want texts back. Kumbe even you want me to give you money. Kumbe even you want flowers. Kumbe you cry when you're sad. We have this idealistic. I like that you also said loving is imagining. Like we almost think about the things we want and then we impose them on people without realizing that we're not humanizing them. Then now we get so disappointed when these people are not matching up to the ideas that we had in our heads. Is this a natural thing that we just do? Or are you able to regulate to the point where you're able to be here, present, see people for who they are? Like, for example, now the fence sitter. Stop seeing people for the higher good. Like, just see, Ochuka is a mean, horrible man who talks to me badly.
So how do I move on from there?
Yes,
I think that's usually what happens when somebody has actualized through the apex of friendship needs. I think when we were talking last time, I was telling you that I know some of my friends are really awful people and they've really treated me badly. But I've gotten to a point where I can love them seasonally. I can love them depending on which spaces we share. I can love them depending on my capacity to love them at a particular time, moment in time. So I think once you have grown up, which is something that most of us don't end up doing, you get to understand that people are really messed up and you are just that one person.
And what does growing up mean in this context?
Growing up means basically age. I'll just use
maturity or
no, just age, because age is usually what we attach to growing up. Because we are expecting. The idea was informed when my daughter was asking me, why don't you go out with your friends anymore? And she was not understanding that if these people are my friends, why would I take time off them to repair and then go back when I'm okay? Because she expects that if somebody is your friend, you're always going to be seeing each other. You're always going to be, and if somebody wrongs you, then you cut each other off. And so that is also the same ideology that we are having as a crisis in modern times, where if somebody wrongs you, the very first thing is cut off. So then and you see, we are all related. No matter how much you think somebody is a stranger to you, if you sit down and you say, okay, who did you meet today? And by the time you get to the third person they met, you realize how related we all are. We are always just brushing each other's shoulders. And that's the truth about life. So if we cut each other off, I know that there is usually the bigger temptation to look at, I don't want to be a fool. I don't want to be somebody who people just walk over.
People are treating me badly.
Yes,
Why would I
yes.
keep them around?
So you have to really have what is called discernment. And discernment can sometimes mean you are a fool. Yeah, because I personally think that sometimes there'll be those foolish things. Have you ever seen, like, even for a child, uliba pesa ya madhe? Do you think she doesn't know?
She knows.
She knows. You've not told your mom that you love them. They don't need that love. They know. They know that this person, hata vile amesmile vile nimbaya nguo, she knows. You understand? So there are always those two little nuances that then allows us or informs or draws us to want to know what are the particularities of our relationships. Because they are not the same. The way I relate with you is not the same way you relate with Jagero. It's not the same way he relates with me or with Peter. Even though we share certain parts of relationships and needs and responsibilities, some others are very specific to the relationship we have between us. And that is what sometimes we miss, because the nuances is what also leads you to sit down and reflect, because discernment, then again, is also a product of reflection. It might get to a point where you have tried everything you can. You have tried to communicate better. You have tried to contribute money ya chama. Umesema, by the mimi, hiyo 1,000 yen, I cannot afford it. Me, I can only afford 500. But I'll be coming. Every time we are having a meetup, I'll be the one who's cooking. You understand? In other words, you have allowed yourself to occupy roles. Remember when I was telling you 70-50 is...
Yes.
70-30 is an
It looks
equilibrium.
different.
Yes, it looks different. We cannot always expect that when we are going out, that all our friends will always be contributing the same money. Sometimes you have to be graceful enough to know that one person is blessed more. One person has more money. One person has a car. This other person might not even have a car for the rest of their lives. You understand? This person might not even have a good job, stable job for the rest of their lives. But while at that, do they allow themselves to not use that as an excuse that I'm always the one broke? Some days, Pia, ashike tu mkono kwambie baadaye Roberta, let's go for kibandaski. It will mean so much more. But it only means so much more if you see the value in that gesture.
Yes.
If you fix your mind that Mimi, I can only find value in these specific things, then you will miss my gesture. And I will feel disappointed, and you will also feel disappointed.
Yeah.
So context really matters, because nuances is how we are loving. Nuances is how we love from every day to every day. And that's how we also solve conflict, because loving and conflict is just the same thing. In fact, loving is a lifelong way of resolving conflict.
True. Then essentially that's what life is.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think secure people exist then? After we've realized we are all these people at once in different situations and different times.
Yes, they do.
Do you think it's possible to be secure?
Yes, they do.
What does a secure person look like?
A secure person looks, let's say break it down to 10 things. One is they are real. It means you can cut them and it can bleed. It means that if you abuse them, they will cry or they will feel sad. It means that they shit just like you. It means that they have low days. It means that they have needs. It means that they get broke.
They grieve.
Yes, they are human. They are real. So that's the very first thing. The next thing is they have allowed themselves to not be tyrants of their own history, particular history. History is who you are. Have you ever met people who say, this is who I am, take it or leave it? That is a very insecure person. That's a very insecure person. That's a very insecure person.
They're so stuck in their ways. They're not willing to open their mind up to different possibilities.
Yes. So openness.
And truly they always stay stuck forever.
Right.
Even if they progress financially, it ends up collapsing because it's not sustainable for you to be stuck.
It is not.
Yeah.
Number 3 is vulnerability. Secure people are vulnerable because vulnerability, there is no love. There is no love or connection you'll ever have. You'll have some, and it will only serve to a veneer, to a surface level. But a deeper, rich, and resourceful, and human, and beautiful connection cannot happen without vulnerability.
Yeah.
There has to be a sense of risk. And you have to know that when I'm loving somebody, there's a risk to it. And I will still do it anyway. And it will not make me less of a person if this person ends up disappointing me. If we end up breaking up someday. If this person dies someday. We never think about that.
Yeah, we
always
only
just
think about kukosewa.
kukosewa.
Naki daddy.
Yeah, naki daddy. Because that's the ultimate conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one is horrible because you don't even have someone to confront or
Yeah.
someone to avoid.
Yeah.
You imeisha.
Yeah.
You will deal nayo very personally.
Yeah. Number 4 is they are able to soothe.
Self-soothe.
Self-soothing, but also just soothing in general. Because life is too harsh. If you are to face it with the philosophical mind, you will lose yourself. You become too critical. You become too incapable of noticing. And noticing is at the center of love. You cannot love that which you do not notice. If I don't see you, how would I love you?
You can't.
Yeah. And number 5 is communication. You have to be able to articulate. People who articulate are dangerously beautiful. Because the people who rob us, even the politicians who rob us, are very articulate. They've mastered it. So if you're supposed to also love, then we also are supposed to be able to develop that articulation. Right?
These by the way, hizi ni basic human
Yes,
needs.
yes.
Hizi si vitu za ati if you're in a relationship, if this is basic for yourself. Because like we mentioned, self-conflict. If you can't manage, understand, and communicate how you're feeling to yourself, you're going to stay in conflict with yourself also.
Right.
Okay.
Number 6 is compassion. Compassion is just the idea that you can wear somebody's shoes. You can say that this person, he comes from a very different background. Our economy will never meet. Our lifestyle might never meet unless something significantly changes, but he is my friend or she is my friend. And you're able to meet them there without dehumanizing that which has formed a greater aspect of their life. Compassion is what bridges all these our differences. Because we are born different, we come from different families, we are different gifts and capabilities, different problems and strengths and weaknesses. Compassion is what grounds us to the middle and tells us you are a human being. And these differences, they are just richer points of you connecting. There's an experience only a Chuka can give you.
Yes.
Now, nobody in all the 8 or 9 billion or whatever number we have, only him can give you. Because there's a unique set of experiences or worldview or eyes that he has lived. And then number 7 goes to the idea of forgiveness. And forgiveness, I want to tie it out with the in and out movement of life. The reason why that is important is we will hurt each other and we will always go in and out. Sometimes I will be an avoidant. Sometimes I will be anxious. Sometimes nitakuwa napotea. Sometimes I'll have doubts that, oh my goodness, when we go out for dates, you are always the one paying for me bills. I'm always the one asking, so you need to make a 2K. And that means that there is a forgiveness of my own conflicts and doubts, but also a forgiveness on your end that this is just a human being going through life. It is not inherently something that should attack their worthiness. Understand?
Yeah.
And then that goes to number 8, worthiness. We are all worthy of love. Whenever somebody thinks that the other you don't deserve love, then nitaanza kukunyanyasa because I have dehumanized you. So worthiness is at the center of a secure person because he knows that every person deserves love.
Including themselves.
And then number 9, you're also able to repair. Repair means healing. And healing is lifelong. And healing is work. So repair and work is number 9. Repair means that every now and then you do not attach a crisis or a conflict with the totality of everything going bad. And we do that a lot, especially when we are breaking up or when you're fighting. We want to collapse everything into this conflict. So now it takes grace for somebody to say that, yes, this relationship really did hurt me. But at some point, this person was my world.
Yes.
Even in their clumsiness, there was some little bit of shared love and joy. And I think that is very necessary for a secure person. And then number 10, I think, is just not knowing. Don't be too certain, wanting to know this is the outcome, wanting to. No, you don't know. And it's okay. And sometimes you will get lost, you'll get confused. You'll want to find words, but you will not find those words.
How do we achieve these things? Because as you're explaining them, I'm feeling like you're almost, okay, let me say, to someone who's listening and they're probably very, very anxious or very, very avoidant when they're working through conflict, they're probably thinking, this is very idealistic. How do you expect me, who my template of love was mtu akikosa tunashautiana, tunapigana sisi wote mangumi, ama tunacha kuongeleshana for 1 month. How do you expect, this is the way I've been for 26 years. How do I achieve these idealistic attributes that you're mentioning? They seem almost as if, isn't this a utopia? Is it too good to be true? And even something people will say, easier said than done. It's easier said than done. I know it is very possible. I mean, I hang out with you and I see the way you move through conflict. The way, let me just use myself. I have hurt your feelings in a very, very horrible way. But you're still able to extend grace and forgiveness and kindness. And you don't bring it up. We kwanza ulinifanyia. And even still, I can still come to you for advice. I can still come to you when I need anything. How do you become, and you're saying you're not a secure person yet. You're saying you dabble amongst all these. So how do you achieve that as someone who's struggling with avoidance, anxiety, fears? All these things are just fears. How do I become like Ochuka?
I think sometimes also you have to be really intimate with your thoughts, because your thinking process or your thought process informs how you act. And that's why even many psychologists would recommend journaling. It's a very stupid thing, by the way. And this is why people say easier said than done, because the work is usually just writing.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, most of our parents were actually readers. I don't know. But I think
even writers.
Yeah. They used to write letters and diaries. And today it's even easier because we have gadgets and we have notes app and we have diaries, journal and 80 diaries. So do write your thoughts. Write them down. Go for a walk, because a walk disarms you from the environment that has wounded you. Every time you have a conflict and you excuse yourself from, let's say, your lover or your sibling or your sister, and say, but this is a bad zone. I'm going to walk. But you have to be really aware and honest that we are actually entering a bad zone. So first of all, you have to develop what is exactly a bad zone. And that takes a lot of sitting and stillness. You don't have to run away all the time. Sometimes sit with what you're facing. And then say, no, my sis, by there, hapo ulinikosea ulichukua nguo yangu kama sikuwa najua. And that is not what we agreed on. So I'm going to take a walk, breathe a little bit, maybe go to the balcony and just breathe the air. Almost always you'll find that your temperature may change kidogo. Because nature and the openness. And sometimes also, when I'm hurt, sometimes I go to town. I don't like going to town because of how busy it is and because of how it triggers my anxiety sometimes. And because I have a crutch and I have to maneuver through people moving and stumbling against me, it's difficult. But sometimes that allows me to think about what could be going on in this person's life. And remember when I told you, people who love so much, who are lovers, are also creative and they're reflective. Try as much, because I believe all of us are creators inside. Try as much to imagine a higher ideal sense even for you. And because when you create a good conducive environment for you, you talk yourself better, that, because people, we talk very nasty to ourselves and we want to project that to the next person. That's usually the case. Try talking positively to yourself. What are some of the good things that you love about yourself? And how have you been able to cultivate those things within yourself? You love makeup. Oh, you love football. Oh, that's very nice. So football can give you very good friends. And I know for certain that's also where men get to talk. So you build a friend that you can play football with, that you can also be comfortable and vulnerable with.
Yes.
Understand? So these things, there's like I told you, nuance matters. It really does matter. And the things that we need are usually materials around us. It's nature. It's fresher eyes. Fresher eyes can just simply mean that ukikosana na madhe, sometimes you go to your C's. And C's atakucall out asema, by the way, you kama uoshi vyombo and you're still staying with mom, don't you see that that's something wrong?
Yes.
Si usaidie tu kidogo akienda kuhustle, because right now you're not working. Why don't you do the dishes? Well, clean the kids when the kids are back, if you have younger siblings. Sometimes be confrontable. Most of us are not
Kubali
confrontable.
kuambiwa.
Yeah, kubali kuambiwa. Most of us are not confrontable.
Because we think we're always right and we
Yes.
know best.
Yes. And I know sometimes we want to do things so perfectly. Sometimes in the process of trying to be a good person, you might be clumsy. But that's how you will know. You can.
Or actually, you even started by saying that feeling of remorse, that
Yes.
feeling you get of remorse, that already shows you're on the right path.
Yes. And you can sit with a lover down and say it by day. Remember when you were asking me to try and text you in the morning? See, I was trying. And you can look at you can even have a 3 months and look at by the 3 months nimekuwa nikijaribu. Sometimes I miss, but sometimes I don't. Kama huyo ni mtu reasonable and a decent human being and a kind person, they will love you and they will want to support you.
How do we deal with people who get defensive? You said being defensive is almost close to nature for human beings, next to nature. So how do we handle when people are being defensive? When now I've learned, I'm working towards being a secure person. I'm communicating, I'm vulnerable. Hizo vitu zote umesema. But I'm dealing with people who are defensive. Or I'm dealing with people who are catastrophic. So how do I navigate that?
Well, defensiveness usually comes with people who, again, they're not confrontable. Wataki kuambiwa. But it's a mechanism. It's a protective mechanism to a great extent. They don't want to be vulnerable. And they don't want to be accountable. And love and accountability go hand in hand. How you deal with that depends on. The most critical thing I know of is don't be too critical of them. No human being, by the way, likes to be criticized. No,
So
especially
what do we do then?
What you do is, I think humor and playfulness tend to disarm that criticism.
Instead of attacking, you find a softer landing.
You find a softer landing. When something lands softly, it will get to them. It will get to them. Maybe not immediately, but sustained over time, they will see that you can separate Ochuka and his defensiveness. That there's Ochuka somewhere that wants to do good and he wants to be accountable for his bad shit or his fuck ups. But there is the defense he puts up every time you try to raise that with me. Understand? There is the defensiveness your father tries to say that, I'll took you to school. What do you mean I was abusive? You understand? And then ultimately, for defensive people, it reaches a point where it will rub on you and it will kill you. So you will let it go.
Yes.
So you must always be willing to let go, because that is also part of the possibility. But try so much not to be too critical. For what I have known, and this goes to gratitude, by the way, we are all really trying. And I know that we want this perfect of a lover, and it is what has caused so many people to say that we have fake friends. That, I've always been searching, but I'm not finding. It's because you are critical.
Yes.
You're critical. And human beings are so clumsy. And I don't know why sometimes we are so afraid, because at some point somebody will hurt you and they will disappoint your expectations. So expectation value is what actually informs how you relate with a defensive person. You sit them down, but don't overload yourself on them, because you are not anywhere any better. You could have evolved to a higher sense of consciousness or awareness, and you're able to articulate your problems, and you're able to even point out their problems. But that does not make you superior
Better
or
than
better.
them.
It just makes you slightly ahead in terms of your journey of growth and healing. So sometimes what I've learned is, even with illness, when we in our support groups, when we find somebody still in denial, they don't want to go for treatment, they are abusive with their wives because they're going through treatment. I'm going to work and I'm going to chemo. What do you mean? Somebody is nasty because they're going through treatment, or somebody is nasty because the boss talked down on them. You have to know that our defenses are almost always coping mechanisms. Beyond that, we don't want to always be criticized. There's something about, I know how women usually say it, mambo mambo ni mengi,
Masani
yeah,
machache.
masani machache. So if you are a man, come to me to the DM and say, this is
What you
Amochuka,
want
I
very
want you.
fast.
But it is not always ideal. In fact, it does not always produce the result that women want, or that we want as human beings. Because sero, in what we call Luo, sero ni kutongoza ni it's like to lull and soothe.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's not an event. It's a process. And sometimes you will fail. So if you fail, you have to either weigh out, is it a dead end, or does it mean that I have to respect that for a minute, or I have to change tact? That is how you deal with a defensive person. Nyakaisere, you have to, lazima umtongoze. And kutongozana does not end. The moment, even in relationships, even with friends, and I'm not meaning in the sexualized sense.
Yes.
The moment you stop kutongozana, that relationship dies.
Inaisha.
It dies. So tongonazeni, this is just the thing, I think.
Ochuka, I'd like to close this conversation now. But before we finish, say something to all these people who are trying to be better, but they do not know how to resolve conflict. Because something that's coming out is that even healthy, secure, happy, safe people go through encounter conflict. The difference is that they allow themselves to feel these feelings and to go through it. So say something to these people who are trying to be better, or people who don't even know that they need to be and do better.
Just a minute.
No problem.
So if you're a person who's trying to do better, I think ideally life is us trying to do better. Yeah. Whether it is by yourself, if you're a selfish person, or by your parents, or by yourself, or by your siblings, or by your children, we're always trying to do better. And I think we're always aspiring to have a society that's healthy, a life that is meaningful, a life that's richer with good memories. Be more graceful with yourself. Understand that certain wars, you remember how we are saying that be kind for people, because sometimes we do not know the wars they're fighting. We are all fighting so many wars. Some of them we don't even know 80% of, unless you've taken the work of self-introspection and understood where you're coming from and where you wish to go with yourself and with the relationships around you. So be more graceful. Be willing to make mistakes and be corrected when that happens. Have a community. I've always said that a community is our biggest help ultimately, because it is what is in crisis. We always think that you can be sustainable as a person, but we are realizing more and more that once you achieve that self-actualization, you have the good job, corporate work and all that, and then you realize that you are lonely and you lack a friend and you can't have these chats, like these conversations, because these are conversations we're supposed to be having in our relationships.
Yes.
These are conversations we're supposed to be having with our friends in church, in work, so that we do not wait for a crisis or a conflict to happen to resolve them. We are building muscle and culture, sort of like a relationship culture that can handle dailiness of conflict, because conflict is daily and loving is conflict. It's just our eternal sense of resolving conflict. So be more willing to be confrontable, be graceful. I think also just be capable of looking at other people's lives, because your life is not the only template. There are so many different templates, and we come to each other with so much history and so much wounds. Sometimes those are what actually cause our conflicts. So I wish you well. Read more, be more honest about conversation and storytelling, by the way, because storytelling is the art of how we build communication. The moment we stick on because I can take you out on a date every other day, do the right exact same thing, and then you will stop lacking conversation and storytelling. What is usually one of the most beautiful thing in a relationship? Pillow talks and gossip.
True.
What is it exactly? A storytelling.
Tell us, najua nimesapole, I'm taking time, but just tell us something small about apologies and forgiveness.
Apology and forgiveness are ideally a sense of taking a step back and honoring each other. Honoring each other in the sense of we are capable of hurting each other at some point. And how do we do apology? Apology, the best apology usually they say is behavior change. But it's not the only thing. Apology is accounted for in storytelling. Again, you have to be able to see where you might have slacked. You also have to be able to connect that slacking to the wounding or the hurting that you have caused. You have to be, number 3, able to notice in what ways can you change to achieve that which you had already built or further it in development. In other words, you have to be able to willing to see that I still want this person in my life, even if maybe from a distance, but I still want this person in my life to be happy, to be joyful, to think of our relationship as meaningful. And I think, just a minute.
It's okay.
Hello. Sorry. So you have to be able to notice those 3 things, because apology cannot come out of conflict, cannot come on its own. It has to come as a result of conflict or an injury of perspective. And then forgiveness is also a product of apology. So apology is built on, yes, ulikosea mtu. And then there's now this conflict. What does it mean exactly for you and for this particular relationship? Do you still want to continue with it? Can you still be kind and hurt? That is the center of apology.
Ngumu sana.
Yeah, can you still be human and kind while still being hurt? Because I think as a human being, like I told you, the spectrum is always a sweep. We can. But we always think that if you are hurt, then everything has to collapse, everything has to burn on the ground. But not always.
Yeah.
And then apology might not always result into forgiveness. You have to be willing to confront that fact. If it doesn't result into forgiveness, then please be graceful enough and do the closing and the stitching of that wound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ochuka. Nime learn so much na nime enjoy sana hii conversation. Guys, thank you so much for sitting with us throughout the hour. Leave for us your questions so that I can keep forcing Ochuka to come here and talk to me. I know you love listening to him just as much as I do. So thank you so much. Please follow me on Love and Orgasms and keep subscribing here on Dialogues with Jagero. We will keep having the conversations as time goes by. But so far, thank you so much. I'm truly appreciative of your patronage. Go ahead.
Cheers. Merry Christmas.